Hey everyone, this is Mazzy, and this is the Four Corners. This is a new edition, the first one we've done in 2021, and it's a collective. We invite a guest each time. We have Michael from 45 RPM Audiophile in Dusseldorf. We have Michael, now in Los Angeles, from Noted and Archive, and has his own musical band outfit called Balmoret in Los Angeles now. And our special guest today on this one is Miss Lady Soul herself, Eve from Montreal, Canada. And I'm gonna do a little introduction what we're gonna do. We're just gonna show 4 or 5 R&B, soul, funk records. And that genre is, I mean, it's not even one genre, it's so vast. And obviously we all got into it in different decades and from different ways. And we wanted Miss Lady Soul Eve to show us because she has a certain connection. I remember seeing her first video, and since she's from Montreal, her first few videos, and she'll talk about this a little bit, were in French. And I remember the first one was subtitles. It was a beautiful, beautiful introduction of how she got into music by her friend Tino. Is that right?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
remember
that's
that.
it.
So without further ado, as we jump in now, one little just add thing. Feel free in the comments to state records that you like and everything. And obviously we're going to miss artists. We can't, with 20 records or less, an artist or less, we can't cover everyone. So there's going to be major omissions, I'm sure. But we're still, maybe a lot of people who don't know this genre might learn something, at least from our various channels. And we'll have a link below to Miss Lady Soul channel as well. So please subscribe to her and check her out, because she's got obviously a good soul and a real calming effect. And your joy you have in your presentations to me is infectious. So Eve, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, guys. Glad to be here.
So tell us about your channel and how you got into the vinyl community a little bit before we jump in.
Well, my channel is Miss Lady Soul. I've been doing some videos for a bit more than 2 years now. Yeah, basically, like you said, I started to do videos in French because I'm from Montreal, Canada, French Canadian. So yeah, I just love music, mainly soul, R&B, but I listen to all kind of genres. Uh, yeah, I've been exposed to music since I'm a kid, uh, 3, 4, 5 years old. I always loved music. So yeah, I have a very, very good friend of mine, a coworker. His name is Tino. And he's the one who got me into YouTube and, introduced me to the vinyl community and whatnot. So yeah, that's about it. And yeah, I talk about vinyl, talk about CDs, R&B, soul, prog rock, you name it. I like it all.
Well, prog rock is totally the opposite of that in a lot of ways.
I know, but I do enjoy prog rock.
Except
Yeah.
Vanilla Fudge did cover "You Got Keep Me Hanging On," so there we go. That's a good one. All right, why don't you start out with your first artist, and we'll go around to the Michaels, and then I'll end
All
up.
right, so I'm gonna start with an album that I've love to spin. It's a 70s soul album, and it's this one. The Baby Huey, the living legend, Baby Huey story, was released in 1971 on Curtis Records, produced by Curtis Mayfield. It's a great soul album. Unfortunately, Baby Huey passed away in 1970, died from a heart attack. So he died before its release. But yeah, it's an amazing album. Great soul. I love his delivery. Very similar to Otis Redding. Very powerful vocals. It's a beautiful album. Great album here. It is backed up by his band, the Babysitters. He started his career in the 60s with the Babysitters. So yeah, you have you don't have any original tracks, mainly covers and the tracks by Curtis Mayfield. But he does a very, very, very good cover of Sam Cooke's "Change Is Gonna Come." Amazing, amazing, amazing cover. And yeah, he does a nice cover of "Our Times" by Curtis Mayfield. Just a beautiful, beautiful psych funk soul album. I don't know if you're familiar with it, guys, but it's just amazing.
Actually, I remember seeing that album way back, but I never heard it until literally 2 years ago. It might have been you. 2 or 3 people in the vinyl community showed that album, and I ended up getting it about a year ago, because there's been various reissues of it.
Yeah. This is a reissue. Around that groove reissue. This one, yeah. So it's yeah, very, very nice pressing. Yeah. Great.
Did he have any other records that were under his own name before that one? Or
no, that's his only album, unfortunately.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a tragedy of one album, and it comes out right after he dies, you know.
Exactly. Yeah, 1971, and he died in 1970. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Highly recommend.
Very talented guy, big guy, 400 pounds. They used to
that's
call
why
him.
Probably you got the heart attack from.
They used to call him 400-pound soul guy. Very, very, very talented. Great album.
Was he from Detroit? Do you know?
From Chicago, if I'm not mistaken. From Chicago, yeah.
Yeah, Curtis Mayfield had his own label for a while and was doing some great stuff and other acts. Yeah. And he's someone I almost picked. I didn't pick for this one, but he's important. So.
Oh, he's a king. He's a king of soul music.
Okay.
He's one of the kings.
Michael in Germany. Why don't you start?
Okay, I start with my biggest gun. No way. This is the Vinyl Me Peace anthology box set, The Women of Motown. Of course, it fits perfectly to my curtains, which really helps, but the box itself is, in my opinion, gorgeous. Those are truly amazing pressings, and it contains these albums, and it's a beautiful overview over the Motown catalog when it comes to the women of Motown. It starts with Mary Wells, goes over to Martha and the Vandellas. Gorgeous album, fantastic album.
It's a great cover.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Then we have the so-called no-hit Supremes. At least they called him a long time, but then they got their hits.
1964.
Okay, if you say so, probably right. I love that cover too. Then they come with Tammy Terrell. Again, a gorgeous cover, by the way.
Who did a lot of albums with Marvin Gaye.
Yeah.
Come to that later. Yeah. Then Syreeta. Now we are going on a later phase of the Motown.
I don't know her.
Yeah,
no, me neither. I'm not familiar with her.
Beautiful soul album.
How is that in the 60s or 70? What did you know?
I think we are now in the late 60s, maybe early 70s, but probably late 60s. Then another Tata Vega, totally Tata. That cover is not so hot. I think.
That looks like a 70s record.
Totally.
Yeah, no, totally hot. Tina Marie.
Oh yeah.
Motown.
They really go through like literally about a 10 to 15 year period on this set.
Yeah.
Really good overview. But
it's not the latest. The latest is from.
Oh my God. The Queen of Neo Soul. The Queen of Neo Soul music. Erykah Badu. Erykah Badu.
Oh, Eric. Oh, yeah. I have her cassette album. Can you someone talk, Yves, tell us about her more.
Yeah, please. You can really tell us more than I'm quite sure.
Well, she's, in my opinion, she's the queen of neo soul music. her debut album with another singer, which is D'Angelo. They are queen and kings of neo soul music. Her debut album, Baduism, is amazing. Yeah, she has an amazing voice, a kind of blend mix of Billie Holiday with I can't even describe her vocals. Amazing vocals, great lyrics, great sound. Yeah, so Battleism and is one of her great albums. So yeah, she's amazing.
Some of her stuff, there's electronic things in it, very dancey, but very like almost like West Indies too in some
cases. Because I have this one too. This one is good. Yeah, this one is good.
This is like these cassette mix things. It's hard to do.
Yeah.
But this is incredible. I think this was a record store day maybe or something.
So that's what I really like in general about those Vinyl Me Please anthology box sets, that they really have a huge overview about the whole label, because they really take the whole lifespan in one box set. That's a great thing they'll do. They did the same with the vinyl with the Grateful Dead or the upcoming Herbie Hancock or the Stax records. Great job, and they sound fantastic, because I think that there is really a lack of let's say audiophile pressing when it comes to Motown or soul albums. You have your Marvin Gaye, yes, but there could be more. I think there are more albums, more editions out there that really deserve a better pressing.
Yeah, this is her debut, Baduism. Great album. If you want to get into Erykah Badu, should really check this one out.
On which label is that, Yves?
I believe this one is on Motown as well.
It's also Motown.
Yeah. This one is on Motown, if I'm not mistaken. So I have this one and another one, Mama's Gun. The second album is also very good. Vinyl Me Please did a reissue not too long ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nice. He wins the award for best hair by far.
Yeah, always have big afros.
Incredible.
All right, Michael in Los Angeles.
Okay, well, disclaimer, I don't really know too much about soul and R&B world, and I was telling Michael and Mazzy before our call that I'm very nervous. So I'm coming into this like as a student. So I'm learning from you all, Yves, especially from you. I grew up listening to rock and punk and that kind of stuff, and I play kind of more classical leaning music. I only came into jazz in the past few years, so I didn't listen to anything before 1980 really until a few years ago. So I'm very new, very green. I'm sure like some of our viewers here, like I'm here to learn, like I'm so excited.
So you want to tell us that you have no soul, Michael, yes?
Yeah, I'm soulless, just black on the inside.
I don't.
But
we're going to teach you how to dance after this too.
I have rhythm. I just don't have any records. But one artist I've recently come to that is a top tier.
Oh my God, yeah.
So of course this is kind of earlier in her career. This is more kind of the musically more like jazz in the jazz world. And I know that there's been some recent reissues from the Acoustic Sound series. I Put a Spell on You, and one other one I can't remember the title of. But this is the first Nina I got.
Pastel Blue.
Pastel Blues, yeah.
Pastel Blue, okay, yeah. And yep, there you go. And
wow, this is a nice. Yeah.
Little Girl Blue. Incredible. Of course, one of the most unique vocal styles of any female vocalist from the 20th century. I mean, ever in the world, I would say. But I'm curious to hear you guys about coming from this kind of world, moving into soul, moving into the funk world, like at where Nina stands. And as in the next record I should get from Nina, what should it be after this?
Oh my God, Nina Simone. She's one of my top 5 vocalists of all time. She's just amazing. Yeah, like you said, she could do jazz, blues, R&B, soul, folk, pop. She could just do anything. She is in a special, she has her own special place out. She's just amazing. Pastel Blues is a great start. I think you should get after this one. This one is great as well. But Pastel Blues, you have the track Cinnamon, which is one of her big hits. Yeah, she's
Cinderman's a
amazing.
great folk song. It's interesting because I had a conversation with someone, the archivist, about Nina Simone, and she was saying, well, maybe she shouldn't be in the soul section, but but she does cross over in so many things. And this one that people don't really show, I got into it because of folk music, and of course, another Beatle connection. The album she does, this opening song on Here Comes the Sun. She does Here Comes the Sun. She does Mr. Bojangles, Just Like a Woman, Ooh Ooh Child. It's a very folky, gorgeous record. This was my first introduction to her in 71 or 2 when I was in college. And then I went backwards and got into Sinnerman. And I mean, she was such a powerhouse, a political force, social force about, I mean, she would, she was an amazing classically trained jazz pianist. And she would do these clubs with these all white audience and literally lecture them about, this is during the civil rights movement and stuff. And she was, you should watch the documentary, Michael. I don't know if it's still online, Netflix or something. I mean, the woman was diagnosed later bipolar. A lot of people didn't really know about this at the time. She says what she felt, but her stuff, I mean, but it reflected in her intensity in her music. But also she started out in a way rock and roll pop with this stuff. Cool Picks Records, and there's a song that was, what's the song? She has Summertime in here, but there was one song, and I'm forgetting what it's called. Oh, I forgot. But it's a very poppy, like 45 single that you wouldn't even connect to her later music, like Purple People Eater type of thing, and I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, I forgot, but you should get it. But you got the best one, I think, to start with, though.
Yeah.
Great.
You have the analog production, Michael?
Yeah, the single 33 RPM version, which was originally on Bethlehem Records. The two new reissues were Philips reissues, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
But they're not, I think you're talking about it's funny, they were on Philips, but the way the labels are now, they're on Verve now.
Yeah. Oh, I see.
Originally, they have been on Philips.
Some of the real picky people on forums out in the world are all bitchy because they don't have the real label they were on. People get crazy like that, in the vinyl community occasionally too. But
sometimes.
Some opinions out there.
Okay, that's a good choice. I'm going to start out with what it's kind of a cliche, but the man who invented soul, Sam Cooke. It's so funny, and while we're here, I am gonna show 2 CD sets, especially this one, because it's called The Man Who Invented Soul. He had such a smooth, silky voice, and obviously R&B was around since the 40s, and all the artists, and even Nat Cole with the trio doing kind of R&B stuff before he was a crooner. But probably one of my favorite male vocalists. Unfortunately, tragic death, but his songs, his big singles, his hits, and I realized several of the artists I'm going to show on my picks started out in the church and coming from gospel music and then moved into secular music. And Sam Cooke was one of the first African-American artists in America also to write about social issues. But what a great art. This is a analog production. So this is the Michael. I would say this is the one for you to get first, Night Beat. Just a beautiful recorded record. It's on 2 LPs here.
What year do we, Mazzy, what year do we talking about?
This is 1963, I think. 1963 this came out. And of course, the time in America, a lot of these acts, everything was segregated on radio and stuff. And as I get into my picks, I grew up, as a kid in the 60s into the 70s when, at least out in the Bay Area, top 40 radio was very mixed. I mean, there was Wilson Pickett and Motown stuff with rock and roll and the Beatles and the Stones and the Lovin' Spoonful. And it was singles were just singles. It was like there was no color barrier there. Although I know the reality, I'm not stupid about it. Like there was a station when I grew up called K-Soul, which was the radio station, a soul station in Oakland. And you turn that on and that was all, pretty much all black music and R&B and soul. And you'd get more depth in the stuff we were listening to that the quote AM top 40 stations weren't playing. But even I remember listening, was it 67 or 68, Desmond Decker, the Israelites, which is a reggae. I didn't know it was called reggae, what reggae was. And that song was a top hit on the radio. And I know it's not soul music, but you could pull that in. It was a whole different thing. Even Slim Harpo had a hit called Baby Scratch My Back, who was a blues artist. And he has a top 10 hit on the radio. I mean, we heard this stuff as a kid, and that's how I got turned on to this. And of course, which I'll say later, groups like the Beatles covering. The first Motown thing I ever heard was John Lennon singing You Really Got a Hold on Me, the Marvin Gaye song. And he sings it amazing. Of course, then I went back and listened to Marvin Gaye, and God, you can't even compare. But, white kids like this, we got turned on between the Stones R&B and the Beatles doing Motown and the girl groups. We got turned on to that stuff.
Was there some conspiracy in Sam Cooke's death that he was sort of there's maybe a conspiracy that it was a planned execution sort of?
Really?
He was kind of getting too popular and too famous.
And the social things going on,
right.
His social stance. He wrote what is it? The anti-war song. I forgot what it was. He wrote. I can't forget this right now. But he died in a motel room with a prostitute, basically.
Yeah.
The motel owner shot him. But there's a lot of theories about that.
But it was at the height of his career. Like he was so popular.
Marvin Gaye was shot by his father, right?
Right.
Yes,
exactly.
yes, it was. No, they say because there's a very, very nice documentary on Netflix on Sam Cooke, and they talk about his murder, and the fact that maybe it was planned because he wanted to do his own thing. He wanted to, do his own record label and promote some R&B soul singers. So maybe he just wanted to cause too much problem. I don't know, but yeah,
getting too much power, too much influence.
Exactly.
I think
also independent. Yeah.
Change is going to come. I think the song I was thinking about, which was really a political, social song. I mean, not overtly, not like John Lennon would write later, like specific, things, or Dylan even. But it was like that. So in a way, he was a soul folk man, but he had so many hits. I mean, I don't know if there's a good comp out there on vinyl. I'm sure there is. Actually, there's a greatest hits out with a yellow cover.
Yeah,
I think it's on Analog Productions.
The best of Sam Cooke.
His singles are stupendous. Chain Gang, Cha Cha Cha. God, they're incredible songs, right? And they're not just soul music. I mean, it's all great. It's just great pop music too.
Bring It On Home is my favorite.
Yeah. All right.
Back to Eve.
Back to me. All right. Young neo jazz soul artist from a neck of the woods from Montreal. Her name is Dominique Fils-Aimé. This is her second album. Stay tuned. Great artist. Very, very talented. She's like a modern Sade. Great vocals. She's highly influenced by R&B soul vocalists from the 40s and 60s. Billie Holiday, Nina Simone, Etta James. So her sound is very, very similar to them. This is second album. Stay tuned. She's about to release her third one next month. And this is our debut, Nameless. Another great album. This debut or a second album and the third one that's coming, it's like a trilogy dedicated to the story of African American music. So this one, she focuses on blues, mainly blues. Her second album, it's more about jazz, and the third one will be on folk, R&B, soul, hip hop.
Yeah.
So yeah, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful records.
But own
Great,
songs.
great.
She does her own songs, or
Exactly, her own songs, but you have a cover on her debut, a cover on Nina Simone, A Strings Fruit.
Okay.
That is very good. So, but she a singer-songwriter. She does her own thing. Very, very, very talented. Love this artist here.
Did you know her,
great.
Mazzy?
I don't
I'm
know.
sorry?
I don't know. No.
I ask if Mazzy. I have to ask Michael. Of course, he doesn't know her, but I was not sure with Mazzy.
I
No,
love.
she's
I hope. I love those
she's
covers.
not very, very well known outside of Canada. She's not, but yeah, she's very, very talented.
But she's a
talented.
Canadian artist.
Have you seen her third cover yet? Is it part of
No,
this?
no, I haven't.
Because
Not
I love
yet.
the blue. I love the way the two kind of go together. Opposite.
Yes, but I believe it's gonna
next
be
one is like that in yellow. I think it needs to go
in yellow. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Beautiful art direction. The first one, she's sideways profile. The next one is like 45 degrees. Maybe the next one, she's straight ahead.
They got to continue that design.
But she really has a long neck. Incredible.
Yes, I go long neck.
Incredible long.
Eve, what label puts her music out?
It's the label is called Insoul. It's a record label based in Montreal that promotes local artists. So they focus on R&B and soul music.
Have you
And
seen
she
her
sings in
perform?
English?
In English, yeah.
Beautiful.
Have you seen her perform?
Never, not yet. Yeah, but I'm planning to when we will be able to see live concerts.
Yeah, we hope so.
Yeah, we hope so. So yeah,
Great.
very,
like
very
being introduced
talented.
to new. This is great being introduced to new. I picked all old people, old or dead. Michael, Germany.
Okay, let's go. Let's go with this man.
Oh.
This is my Beyonce. I didn't find a record, and so I put this one out. Stevie Wonder.
Mm.
In a way, this is one of the 3 classic albums he did. And I remember when this album came out, I hated it. I hated this kind of music. Yeah, I was totally into industrial.
All you wanted to listen to is Kraftwerk.
Exactly. Yeah, I wasn't that kind of. Yeah, in a way. No, I was away from Kraftwerk, but I hated those kind of music, and so it's so interesting how these things changes over the decades, and now I love it. And I say, how couldn't I like it? But when it came out, I said, oh my God, go away. So soft, so nice, so no. I want power. I want to destroy. But nowadays. Fantastic album, of course. Great artist, one of the greatest artists, I think, last decades. And this version is my Speaker's Corners version, which is a great pressing. And I think this kind of music has so much grandeur. I don't know if you understand that in English. So much finesse that it is really important that you get a good pressing of those releases. A bad pressing can really destroy this kind of music because there is so much into it. And really take the time and look out for a good release if you're interested, if you're new to this kind of stuff. And then you really get the full package of great music. Stevie Wonder, great guy.
I first heard Stevie Wonder through the Red Hot Chili Peppers when they covered Higher Ground on Mother's Milk. And I was like, this song's amazing. And then I was like, my dad was in the room on my cassette, and he's like, that's a Stevie Wonder song. I was like, who's Stevie Wonder?
He had one of the most incredible runs in the early 70s, from Talking Book to Intervisions, Fulfillment, and that 4 or 5. And what's amazing about him, a lot of people who know that period may not know his 60s stuff. Little Stevie Wonder, when he was playing his harmonica, and he had an amazing, and I know Michael always hates, both Michaels hate when I bring it back to the Beatles, but
don't come with Ebony and Ivory. Please.
No, I won't talk Ebony and Ivory. I don't like that. No, but he did an amazing cover version of We Can Work It Out in like 68 or whatever it was. And it was so different. The arrangement, it was so soulful, pop, that Motown thing. Little Stevie Wonder was on all those, TV shows in the late 60s. And then it's almost as if he took a little hiatus and then came about as this like fully produced, wonderful adult. I mean, just he went into his cocoon and came out a butterfly. I don't know if that's a way of putting it, but an amazing artist. God.
Yeah, incredibly successful in this time. He was huge.
And he sold so many records. And that's the art and commerce thing, like Beatles, Elton John, David Bowie. They sold a lot of records, and they make quality records like every 2 years or every year and a half. Amazing. That's one of the best double records ever.
Have you all seen him live ever? Any of you? Stevie?
No. I saw him 1972 open up for the Rolling Stones when Exile on Main Street came out at Winterland. He was the opening. It was a Stevie Wonder, and he was at his height. Well, that's when Talking Book, I think, came out. So Superstition had just come out, I guess. I might be a little wrong on the dates, because I remember I bought Talking Book when I started college in 72.
That's so surprising. Imagine the audience for Exile on Main Street, and then Stevie Wonder opens. Was good.
It was good. Well, Winterland, the Stones played 4 shows at Winterland, which only holds 5,000 people in San Francisco, and they did it because it was a deal after. This was 2 or 3 years after Altamont, which was a debacle where the guy was killed with the Stones. And so Bill Graham had them do smaller venue, these 4 special shows to kick off, I think, that tour. It was $5.50 for a ticket. And Stevie Wonder was getting known, and a lot of Bill Graham audiences were used to having mixed opening acts in terms of genres. I mean, I saw Miles Davis open up for the New Rise of the Purple Sage. How strange is that?
Yeah. Oh, that's Miles Davis in a way.
Well, yeah.
Well, that's a smart marketing move to have the overlap of potential audience demographics. That's
great. And of course the Stones always were, advocates of R&B, black music, soul, blues stuff. So I'm sure they picked him, and he was just getting his comeback. We knew him from Little Stevie Wonder, but he was really starting to have his mojo, I guess, in the 70s sound. But all right,
Michael in Texas, show us more soul.
Back to more deep soul albums. I'm curious to talk about blues in the jazz world. So I'm a musician, so I play guitar primarily, but I'm really interested in the instrumentation and the lyricism that instrumentations have. This is one record from Kenny Burrell with Coleman Hawkins called Bluesy Burrell. So this is all kind of blues-based instrumental jazz compositions. And then I also chose this one from Babyface Willette, who played the organ. But I'd be interested to know, knowing not that much about the soul world, what kind of instruments musically, obviously most of it is vocally centric, but the backing music, there must be a lot of obviously rhythm, but organ and piano, brass. Was there a lot of guitar in the early soul music in the 60s? Anyone know?
Because I'm the old guy here.
Yeah. Also, but if anyone doesn't know this, Babyface Willette, he had a few albums on Blue Note. Beautiful.
I have the
organist.
One of his, the different album. He died young too, I believe. There is another channel too that we should put a link to, and I don't know if you know 6 Inch Pianist. And he's a UK. It's funny. There's a lot of the UK record collectors that are really into American soul and R&B music more than most of us Americans, and he has one of the most amazing collections. But in the 60s, there was sounds of label. Motown had a sound. Stax had a sound. And they had almost like the versions of the Wrecking Crew in LA, these bands that would back everyone up, you know, all these records, like back Wilson Pick It Up, back the Supremes up and stuff. Um, I don't know, drums and bass, yeah, horns and some, you know, obviously funk later really changed.
Saxophone? Are there a lot of saxophones in the early soul?
Well, you get into people like King Curtis and stuff like that, which is, I mean, he's a sax player. So, you know, I mean, there's so much music. I mean, I don't think it can be just narrow. Like, it's like saying, is there a guitar? I mean, we all know, our generation got into guitar because of all these rock bands that's just picked up and played guitars, whether it's the Stones and the, you know, the British Invasion or the American bands. It's all about guitars. People didn't pick up.
But when I think Michael's question was great, because what were the main roots for soul? I think gospel, blues, and jazz, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Those three. So, but mainly gospel, or not?
And does the gospel root also kind of take into consideration kind of classical spiritual music and vocal music?
Well, in America, I mean, America, it comes out, I mean, out of the church. I mean, that's a lot of that stuff. Obviously, you know, Aretha Franklin and I'm going to show up. Well, the next artist I show, it comes out of the church and these gospel singers, and a lot of them started out. I mean, actually, I really like. I remember as a kid, I don't know why, on Saturday mornings you'd see these religious shows with Mahalia Jackson, who is an amazing. She's a gospel singer, and I don't know. As a young, skinny, white Jewish guy, I got into listening to Mahalia Jackson, and I loved it. I didn't get records of hers till the 70s, but it just had this great sound, and she had a little rhythm section, and I didn't know what was happening in Black churches in America, you know, where it was very soulful and raucous. Aretha Franklin, her first records on Columbia were sort of gospel-y religious records. Sam Cooke, you know, the SAR stuff. I mean, this is.
Yeah, and I think that this strong influence from gospel probably determines the instruments which are on focus in that kind of music.
Guitar, bass, and organ.
Yeah,
exactly. And not much saxophone and bass.
I doubt there are. I don't know. Of course, I wouldn't know. You know, horns and you know, in San Francisco, we had a still is to this day. There's this church downtown, and the Reverend Cecil Williams is this preacher. He's very well known in the San Francisco community, and it's I'm blanking out in the church. And every Sunday morning, they have these services, and I've been a couple of times because they get people who are not religious go to it because it's going to like gospel shows, and it's and I'll think of the name before this ends with the church on. But it's an amazing, it's like going to a concert every Sunday morning. The place is packed. He has these great, you know, food drives every year because they get a lot of homeless and people in the Tenderloin. The church is right in the St. Glide's Memorial. That's what it's called. Google sometime Glide's Memorial. And I think Bono went there when he was going through his U2, you know, gospel thing of R&B and blues stuff when he was in San Francisco. All these famous musicians have dropped by, not really to perform, but just to experience it. So, I mean, this conversation could go out on for 3 days talking about this stuff, and we're just touching our base. So,
it's your turn, I think.
I'm going to go now with a group that comes right out of the gospel movement and the church. And it's a box set that I got, and it's called Come Go With Me. And it's the Staples Singers.
Ah, great.
I'm not going to talk about every album. I'll just kind of show you these covers. I was fortunate enough to see them once. They actually, you know, covered one of their great covers that a lot of, you know, young white rock and roll guys like me got into is their cover of The Weight, of the band's song The Weight. And that's why they're tacked on at the end. They do a studio version in The Last Waltz because they were involved with Robbie Robertson. But I think this is the record, I believe, that had this huge hit. What was the big hit they had? Come on. Anyway, look at these covers. Look at these screens.
Oh, nice.
Who did this? Who did this box set, Mazzy?
This is Kraft.
Ah, great.
Kraft
yeah.
recording. The singles. Here we go. Oh, you know, this is where it gets dangerous. Respect Yourself. That was the big hit they had in the States. I assume around the world too.
Yeah.
It was a great, you know, it's one of those crossover singles, but Pop Staples died, and Mavis Staples continuing carrying the torch. And I'm just going to briefly show two of her recent solo albums. And the irony is the one before this, which I don't have on vinyl, it was produced by Ry Cooder. This one was produced by Ben Harper. And this one was produced by Jeff Tweedy. So you're getting these kind of alternate indie Americana artists and you know, folky artists getting into her. This is an incredible cover because this is a Gordon Parks cover, who was a famous photographer. Gordon Parks directed the first Shaft, and it's, of course, this is from 1963, I think, or 4. And this picture, these little African American girls looking through a fence to white privileged kids on a, you know, in a really nice playground with a Ferris wheel and stuff. It's classic photograph, and this is called We Get By. I mean, her renaissance, Mavis Staples, has been incredible, and that would be a good thing. I think you would like, Michael, that her music, the last one, the Jeff Tweedy one, or the Ben Harper one, maybe the Ben Harper one first. It's soulful, it's folky. It just warms the heart, and of course it's very topical today for what's happening in the world.
Sure. I recently moved from Austin, Texas to Los Angeles, but in Austin they have the famous festival called South by Southwest, and I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, possibly whenever the album you were holding with the girls by the fence came out, she was like the kind of the big headliner for one of the main night. Mavis was. Yeah. So I remember kind of when she kind of had this new resurgence. You see her name all over the place.
I think Ry Cooder was the one that did the one album that brought her back. This is 2017. This is 2019. So this is 2 years ago. But her stuff is great. I would have loved to have seen her live. I never have, but she's still, well, unfortunately now nobody's playing. But, so I think the Staples
she sort of
are a great, again, from gospel to soul music to a little funk, I guess.
Was she sort of the leader of the sisters?
Yes, I think she was the eldest. I don't know the whole history of that. Obviously, what was great about when you see these old videos, Pops is sitting there playing his Stratocaster most of the time, and you see this, you know, old black guy playing. I mean, I know it's a cliche, but any old man playing it with the three sisters singing, and he just had the biggest smile on his face when you see him performing. It's so great. It's like the smile you have right now, Eve. I mean, you always have that. It's like no, but I mean that as a respectful. It's like glow that like it. You just feel this wonderful positive effect for the music that.
Well, you can't help but smile when you talk about music. I mean.
Right.
Yeah. It makes you feel good. It makes you feel good, right? And
us grumpy old men have sometimes a little difficulty with smiling.
You know, it is like folk music, though. Some of this stuff. It depends on the artist. Some were very socially aware. Stevie Wonder, obviously. So.
Yeah.
All right, Eve.
Oh, it's my turn again.
Yes,
all right. This one is a blind buy. I was in my local record store last summer in the R&B soul section, obviously, and flipping through records, and I saw this one, picked it up because I like the cover. So it's The War and Treaty. This is their album Artstown. Was released last year, if I'm not mistaken. Great album. It's a duo, husband and wife, and I read that they started a career in 2016 or 14. Their sound is the mix of southern soul with gospel, country, and rock and roll. Very, very, very nice album. You have they toured with Jason Isbell, Brandy Carlisle. So apparently they're great. They're great live. I never saw them live, but apparently they are great. Yeah, this is a very, very good album from start to finish. There's a track here, Beautiful, featuring Jason Isbell, that is very, very nice. The title track, Artstown, is good. Great duo here, The War and Treaty. I believe they released 3 albums. This is the recent one.
Beautiful
I really
cover.
love when you say, I like the cover. I also do so much and so many buys, always done. So many buys by cover. And in most cases, it works. In the most cases, it works with the cover buys.
Yeah, I wasn't familiar with this. Never heard about them, so I said, why not?
Amazing.
Exactly.
Yves, what is the instrumentation of the music like? What instruments are featured?
A lot of piano. I believe the guy is a pianist. So yeah, it's you have, like I said, different sound. It's a bit Americana. There's some tracks that are rock and roll, some of Southern soul. So it's a mix of different musical genre. But yeah, if you like, I mean, if you like rock and roll, you're gonna like this one. You're gonna like this one. If you're a fan of country, if you're a fan of rock and roll, Southern soul, it's a very, very nice album here. Very, very nice album.
Great
What
one.
was the name again? Can you please say the name once more?
The War and the Treaty. The War and Treaty.
Thank you. Artstown. Great.
Yeah.
My turn?
Here we go. Yeah.
Okay, now I'm going to show a record. Probably you have never seen this, but I think it belongs in this Four Corners about soul, and that's this one. Yeah, I know somebody has to show it, I think.
What's going on?
Yeah, I think it's in the new top 500 Rolling Stones list. It's the #1 record.
Number 1?
Yeah, I think it's #1.
It knocked finally Sergeant Pepper off the number.
Long overdue. Mr. Marvin Gaye did it. He did it. And I think this is a fantastic album, no doubt about it. This One Step Mo-Fi is fantastic too. Sad to say, or I'm sorry to say that this is out of print, but I think this is one of those records where it's safe to say this belongs in every record collection. Michael.
Yeah.
I'm quite, don't you agree?
Yeah, what's interesting about that,
of course,
I don't have a vinyl copy of that anymore because I can't find a good vinyl copy. There's a reissue that a friend of mine got, and it doesn't sound really well. That needs something like a Tone Poet, where it's a $30, $25, whatever record. Right. That's a record. That's to me one of the most important records ever made, and it should be available for every.
It should be available, right?
Not at $200 or whatever.
Yes. Is there not another version?
What I mean?
It's all analog.
Analog reissue, acoustic sounds or like series would be great. I don't know who has control of that, but the pressing out there now is really shitty. And I bought a used original recently, and I looked good, and it was trashed. It was so much purpose noise.
It's so very hard to find nice used copies of 70s soul R&B music. It's
right.
To find decent, clean copies. It's like
because people listen to them so much. They've been played
all
so much
the time, and I mean, people weren't taking care of. Not all people taking care of their records maybe as good as I would or in my collection, but I get it. I've been looking for that record so long. I mean, yeah, I could go on Discogs, but I need to see it in person now because I
imagine that you're so right, Magic. Imagine we live in 2020 and it's hard to get a decent copy of Marvin Gaye's masterpiece.
Right. I mean, I have a CD of it. I know the record. The CD is fine. It's good. I know the record, and that's again, I purged that in my mid 90s to get the better format CD. Big mistake, because mine was an original Motown and it was clean as hell. And I would be satisfied with that.
But there's a box set that was released a few years ago about Marvin Gaye's work. I don't know what's the quality of the pressing.
Yeah, probably some digital.
Oh, okay.
I mean, not all digital's bad. We've talked about that.
Not
before.
all digital is bad. You're right, Mazzy, but most of it. They don't put much. They don't put much love in it.
I don't think we should fight between our family with guests in the house.
Boys, behave.
All right, LA Michael.
Okay, I am trying to bridge more gaps here. So I want to talk about the human voice, the female voice, coming out of the jazz world. Our Lady Billie, Our Lady in Satin. And then we have Ella. So I'm curious from this, I'm sure Nina is also included in this, and maybe Etta James as well, coming from the late 50s into the 60s. How much of the 60s soul singers were directly influenced from these ladies?
A lot, I guess. Because even now in the 90s and 2000, there are a lot of neo soul vocalists. You can tell that they've been influenced by Billie Holiday, Etta James, just to name it. Christina Aguilera was highly influenced by Etta James.
Lauryn
like
Hill,
I said,
Lauryn Hill, probably.
Lauryn Hill, Nina Simone was a huge influence to Lauryn Hill. Yeah. Like I said, Erykah Badu, you can hear the Billie Holiday in her voice. Yeah, a lot of artists. Yeah.
What is the Etta James record that has At Last? Is it the yellow cover with the green?
Yeah,
text?
the yellow cover. Yeah.
I got to get that one.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is I'm obsessed with the human voice is the most fundamental instrument, really, right? So it's so interesting with.
This is actually a good comp. Just to
wow.
This is a French pressing, a 1971 French import, which has all her hits, like has At Last. One of my favorite cuts is Stop the Wedding. You hear this organ and this man saying, now these two are getting together. If anyone in the audience, and she says, stop the wedding. I shouldn't sing in front of you guys, but look at that picture.
That's incredible.
I have just to show, this is a live recording. I recorded live at Montreux Jazz Festival. Etta James, this is a very nice album. Great live recording. So if you like Etta James, you should check this one out.
Great.
It's amazing.
At Montreux, you said?
Yeah, at Montreux. Yeah.
Great.
Montreux Jazz Festival. Yeah.
Beautiful.
That's one of those great archive things.
Billie Holiday is definitely one of the most important artists ever as well, God, what incredible. Yeah.
There's a new artist as well, but new. She's been in the game for a few years, but her name is Andra Day. She's gonna do a movie related to Billie's story, Billie Holiday's story. Very talented young lady. Andra Day.
Up still, but I remember it was a huge hit. Diana Ross, when she played Billie Holiday in Lady Sings the Blues. I remember as a teenager seeing that movie and loving it, but with Billy D. Williams, but that was so long ago, so 50 years almost. God. Okay.
Yeah, this is her debut. Sorry. Andra Day.
It's a beautiful cover.
She's highly influenced by Billie Holiday. Yeah, great vocals.
Do you know if that was her real name or is it influenced after Lady Day?
I believe it was an influence after Lady Day. I'm not quite sure, but I believe because she mentioned that she was very influenced by Billie Holiday.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool. We'll check it out.
Okay. Do we have one more round after this, or do you have another one, everybody?
Up
Yeah.
to
I
you,
have another one.
Mr.
Okay.
MC.
I'm going to show one, and then we'll do our last round and
Okay.
close out.
Okay.
For this one, I'm including two together, so I'm cheating as I usually do. But there's a reason for it, and you'll see why. And first, I'll show two live albums and two other studio albums, and that is one of the great live albums, Erykah at the Fillmore,
This
and
one's
of
amazing.
course, Otis Redding live at the Whiskey A Go Go in LA. I mean,
Incredible.
he died in 1967, and then right after he died, Dock of the Bay came out, Sitting on the Dock of the Bay. That was my first introduction to him. What a beautiful single. A very soft ballad in a way. And he was living for a while in Sausalito, right near San Francisco. So it's about kind of my hometown. And this is obviously in San Francisco, the Fillmore. And I wish so much I had seen this show. I was a little too young to see this one. And I believe Ray Charles is with him, with her on this set. But of course, Respect, one of her biggest first hits, was written by Otis Redding and is on this record live. So Otis and Retha, and for Michael, and if he doesn't have it, and Michael, 45 RPM gold, QRP, this is a MoFi, excuse me.
Hard to get, Mazzy. Hard to get record.
Yeah.
So if you want her singles and you want an audiophile pressing, this is so incredible. And of course, I'll just show, these are Rhino reissues that came out later with really nice versions, Dock of the Bay, and of course, Otis Blue. This is actually a Japanese pressing I have from the 80s, I believe. So,
but I think I have an analog productions of this one.
I think there is. I mean, I wasn't going to show everything, but you kind of get an idea. Anything by Otis Redding and this, and of course, Aretha. I mean, this album. Oh wait, no, this album, Aretha Ride, with Satisfaction, Nightlife. I mean, Baby I Love You, but Lady Soul, Chain of Fools. Chain of Fools is what a great single that is. You know, she wasn't really selling a lot of records on Columbia when she was doing the more gospel-y stuff, and she goes to Atlantic Records, and bam, it happens. And can you imagine what Otis would have given us if he had lived?
Yeah.
Tragic.
How did Otis die?
Plane crash.
God.
Yeah.
Plane crash. Okay. Like Buddy Holly.
Like so many, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so many artists.
I know I don't fly.
Yeah. Okay, Germany. Hello, Germany.
No, back to Eve, right?
Okay.
It's back to me.
I'm sorry. Yes. My apologies.
All right. So I have it's a young artist, young soul R&B artist, raised in Germany. So Michael, I don't know if you're familiar with her. But she's born in Africa, Sierra Leone, and her name is Mariama. This is a recent album, Love, Sweat, and Tears.
Great title.
Very, very, very nice album. Great vocals. This album talks about love, so several tracks about love, but it's highly influenced by your European and African heritage. So you have some African rhythms, dub influences. You also have many spoken words interludes. Just a beautiful album from start to finish. So yeah, Love, Sweat, and Tears, Mariama. Very, very nice one that I discovered last year, actually. Very, very, very talented young lady.
Let me ask you, how are you discovering these artists? Where do you listen to?
Mainly through YouTube. I see them on in my feed, Spotify, Bandcamp, a lot on Bandcamp. Yeah. I love to discover new artists, young artists. There are so many young, talented artists out there, but because they are underground or not very known, It's
And
it's a shame, but because there are so many talented artists out there that we don't know.
and
Yeah.
you always present those artists on your YouTube channel.
Yes, that's what I like to do. Yeah.
So
I
if you
love to
watch
do
the
that.
videos, we can learn a lot about soul, neo soul.
Yes, new artists.
That's
Yeah,
great.
artists that aren't talked about a lot in the VC on YouTube or yeah. Yeah.
Why don't you all right now go down and click the link and subscribe to Eve's Lady Soul channel.
To your own benefit.
Wait till we're over.
Thank you, guys.
Eve, do you sing or play any instruments yourself?
Not at all. I'm a terrible, terrible singer. No, I'm just a fan of music. I'm not. I don't play any instrument. I don't sing. No.
Okay. You sing better than Mazzy, I bet.
Probably.
That's not hard. That's not hard. Michael?
I love this cover. I love this record, but the cover.
Yeah.
Oh.
And
another one.
A great job again from Vinyl Me Please. It came out, I think, on December in the classic series. And
say the name. I think some people are watching on their phones. Donny Hathaway.
It's Donny Hathaway. Everything is everything. And fantastic album, gorgeous remaster by Ryan K. Smith, all analog, pressed over at Quality Records Pressing, the same pressing plant, analog productions used. So this is a fantastic release, and I'm so happy that there is a label now who touches this kind of records and give them back to us in a very, very good manner, in a decent way. So beautiful album. A soul fan should know about it, I think.
Another artist that we lost way too soon, in my opinion.
Again,
unfortunately.
My God, but again, an accident or?
He killed himself. Yeah, he committed suicide. Yeah, terrible. He was. Yeah.
My God,
it's a great album. I don't know if it was they did one together, but Roberta Flack and Donny Hathaway.
Yeah, they did a few albums together.
Yeah,
you have that album. You probably have that, no?
You can find a lot of his records fairly inexpensively, originals, and with Roberta Flack, and I really, both those are so great. Okay,
well, that's from Germany.
Your last pick, Michael.
Oh, last one. This actually has the word soul in the title, so I can maybe get a few points redeeming myself. This is one of my all-time favorite.
Are you going to show Rubber Soul?
Close. This is one of my all-time favorite covers and one of my all-time favorite tenor sax players. Soulville from Ben Webster. This is all kind of blues soul, kind of the standard 12-bar blues formula. The musical structure in this just is like the most perfect music, like on a hot summer afternoon, just when you're kind of tired and you just want something easy. This is a beautiful record. This is the Analog Productions version. And Ben, of course, known for his very breathy, reedy sound. You can hear the breath so clear in his playing. Soulville, one of my favorites, that is clearly blues-based in the instrumentation and the arrangements. Really simple bass, piano, and saxophone. A beautiful one. So again, still trying to bridge this gap.
You've done very well, Michael. Honestly.
Did as best as I could.
I will never say you have no soul. I will never say it.
But do you guys know Ben Webster in this album in particular?
I've heard a lot about this one, but I never listened to it.
It's great.
I don't know that album at all, but I love Ben Webster's amongst my favorite of the earlier sax, like him and Lester Young, because he's got that really reedy, throaty.
It is so breathy and it's so tactile. It's just
you hear him like he's blowing that reed.
Standing next to you, you could hear every little noise from his mouth. But this one is all blues-based music and Soulville, and it's just like has this beautiful touch. And one thing I will say, like this is all instrumental music, but his saxophone is his voice. It's so lyrical. There's so much emotion in his playing that it's like you kind of understand what he's trying to get across without any words. It's beautiful.
Mazzy, you don't have that edition?
I don't have that.
Mazzy, please do me a favor. Get it. When this one is gone, you will never get
You
this.
know how much money
again.
you've made me spend, Michael?
Money. Mazzy, money. Music. It's all about music.
There's a worldwide pandemic going on.
This was let's see.
There's insurrections happening in America. Please.
All right.
This was originally on Verve, mastered by Ryan K. Smith, Sterling Sound. Beautiful
Fantastic.
record.
Oh,
I think there was a Vinyl Me Please reissue a few years ago. They did a reissue of this album, if I'm not mistaken.
I will seek it out.
You need more records, Mazzy.
really? Yeah, but this is a small shelf, Mazzy.
I can't wait to see Michael in LA's cart after this one. He's got I think he's
probably. Yeah.
Every time I watch Michael in Dusseldorf, I'm like, oh, maybe I do need this. He makes it look so good.
It is
all
good.
of you guys. We get in trouble with each other. You make everything so appealing because it is.
Yeah. It is. It is.
Okay, I'm going to close out this edition of Four Seasons, and we can have a little conversation as we wind out on this. There are two artists that really cross over into R&B, soul, jazz, one of which I'm not going to show, but amongst my all-time favorite vocalists and piano players is Nat King Cole. I'm not showing him, but in the 40s and 50s, he was doing the trio that more would consider R&B, early R&B, after like Louis Jordan and that kind of vein. But then he became more of a crooner in the 60s stuff. I'm not showing him, but to me, one of the most important R&B artists is this man, Ray Charles. Yeah. And what an artist. This is a Rhino box set that came out about 5-6 years ago that shows his albums. I got into him because of songs like Hit the Road Jack, sort of the rock and rolly R&B stuff. But his records on Atlantic Records, are incredible. Of course, he, a lot of people later on in America got to know him because of his stunning version of America the Beautiful that he did. I think this is one of the best covers ever on Atlantic Records. Just the use of the typeface, the colors of the type, the genius of the blues. And yes, indeed.
They just announced a new one that was an Impulse title, right? Genius plus soul equals jazz.
I have that on Impulse. That's a great record. That's him and I believe Oliver Nelson arranged it. So that's coming out, I think, in March on that new Impulse acoustic sound series, I believe, right?
Yep, I think so.
Ray Charles to me is such an important artist. Luckily, he lived a pretty long life, so he got to a lot of music. I mean, he made from beautiful R&B to soulful to some really schmaltzy records later on, maybe. And everybody every artist, it seems like older artists in the last 30 years made a duets album with younger people. I mean, that's the big kind of thing to do. But I think he had to be included in this video from my point of view. Again, obviously we can't, there are hundreds of artists we could have included that we didn't here, Anybody just want to name off people that you almost picked? I know Michael almost, okay. Michael couldn't find his copy of this, Lemonade.
Thank you.
This might be the most important Soul-y album of the last decade, I think.
It's a milestone.
Really?
It's a milestone album.
You don't like it? You don't like it? Be honest. That's what we're here for. Beyonce.
I've never been a fan of Beyonce, honestly. I never connected really with her music.
Have you listened to this record?
A few tracks.
Yeah.
Not, yeah.
I think it's a stunning piece of art. I've never had a Beyonce record, and I have a few friends that are not into her as well, and just made me buy this record. Literally forced me. and it's
It wasn't me. It wasn't me.
no what before I met you when it came out. Like,
Oh, okay.
what do you think of this, Michael?
Me?
No, Germany, because you were looking for your copy.
I think this musically, it's a milestone. I have the super deluxe blah 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 pressing on yellow vinyl, and it sounds terrible. I can barely listen to it, but musically, I think it's a milestone.
Yeah,
I'm
not a fan of. I'm not a fan of her husband.
Jay-Z.
Yeah,
Jay-Z.
I mean, I appreciate him, but that's we don't want to get negative here.
I was surprised that Eve didn't show an Jessie Ware. I was so sure.
Yeah, but I did not. I heard about her latest one that was that is very nice, but I don't have it yet. So.
Oh, okay. But you like Jessie Ware.
Yeah, I was thinking about showing an album that I've got recently. It's a reissue, and it's this one, Experience Unlimited. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
No.
Great funk.
Yeah,
funk music, amazing funk album.
It's Vinyl Me Please, isn't it? Yeah.
It's a Vinyl Me Please, yeah, Vinyl Me Please. Everybody should own this album just for one track. The track Funky Consciousness. Just 9 minutes of pure funk. Just an amazing album.
You know what? I buy that record. I order it. When I have it, I give you an answer in one of my videos.
All right, no problem. I'm sure you're gonna like it.
Yeah, we really didn't get into funk. I mean, I was even thinking of Parliament Funkadelic, and I mean Bootsy Collins, and I mean that whole. Oh God, there's so much more. This could go on, right?
Eternally.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, everybody, thank you, Michael, Eve. Thank you. We'll link everyone below, and. Thank you for watching.
Great meeting you, Eve. Thank you for being
Thank you.
here.
Likewise.
Yeah, thank you all for teaching me something today. I have a lot of homework.
Come on, Michael. You have more soul than you said
before. You got to grab one album for our thumbnail, and we're going to showcase it here. Pick one that works graphically. You can't take that out of the sleeve. No, everyone. Watch your lights. Watch your lights.
Red, great. All are red. That's great.
All right, that's good.
Wow, red. That's awesome. Thank you.
All right, thank you guys.
See you guys later. Bye.
See you.
See you.